Today, we're diving deep into one of the most dynamic fintech markets on the planet, Vietnam. You know, its digital payment scene isn't just growing, it is absolutely exploding. We're going to look at who's building the financial bridges to connect this incredible economy to the world. And let me tell you, for investors and founders, ignoring this market right now, that's just not an option.
So let's just start with the headline number, shall we? We're talking about a fintech market in Vietnam that's projected to smash through $50 billion by 2030. Now, this isn't some slow and steady growth, no way. This is a massive economic shift happening at, well, hyperspeed. If you're looking for what a massive opportunity looks like on paper, this is it.
All right, to really get what's happening here, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the market explosion itself. Then, we'll see how the government is actually fanning the flames. After that, we'll get into the two main battlegrounds. That's domestic versus cross-border payments. And finally, we'll map out the key players and really pinpoint where the biggest opportunities are hiding. Okay, first things first. Let's really wrap our heads around this sheer momentum here. The move away from cash in Vietnam, it's not just some trend. It's more like a tidal wave that's completely changing how people live and spend, right across the country.
Just look at this growth curve. The market is set to more than double in only 5 years. Think about that. From almost $20 billion in 2025 to over $50 billion by 2030. That's a compound annual growth rate of over 20%. This is the definition of hockey stick growth, you know? The kind that signals a once-in-a-generation investment opportunity.
And you know what's at the very heart of all this growth? It's a surprisingly simple piece of tech, the QR code. Payment volume just shot up by over 106% in less than a single year. This isn't just an update, it's a total rewiring of how daily commerce works. I mean, from buying a bowl of pho on the street to a big purchase at a supermarket, everything, and I mean everything, is moving to scan and pay. Why? Because it's just so easy and secure.
Now, this kind of explosion doesn't just happen in a vacuum, right? The Vietnamese government is playing an absolutely crucial role here. And get this, they're not a barrier. They're an active catalyst, strategically laying the groundwork, the regulatory foundation for a totally cashless future.
You can see it right here in this timeline. It's a very deliberate strategic plan. It all kicked off with Viet QR back in 2021, which created one universal standard for everyone. Then you jump to 2024, and they're rolling out a fintech regulatory sandbox. This is basically a safe space for startups to innovate without the full weight of regulations. You add in new biometric security rules and big plans for ASEAN-wide payment links, and every single one of these steps is a massive green light for investors. It's saying, we are building a secure, innovative digital economy. Come and get involved.
So, you've got this booming market and a government that's all in. Out of that, two very different battlegrounds are taking shape. It's so important to understand the difference between them because they offer completely different kinds of challenges and, of course, opportunities.
So first up, we've got the domestic arena. This is all about transactions happening inside Vietnam. Think paying for your coffee with an e-wallet or zipping some money to a friend through your banking app. It's a huge volume market, pretty mature already, and it's all built on this incredible infrastructure backbone called NAPAs. That's the country's national payment switch, connecting all the major banks. And then you have the cross-border space. And this is where things start to get a lot more complex, but also potentially a whole lot more lucrative. Here we're talking about remittances, global e-commerce, B2B payments. You're juggling multiple currencies, navigating really complex compliance rules. You need a seriously sophisticated tech stack to handle all the foreign exchange and international regulations. When you put them side by side like this, the differences are just crystal clear. Domestically, it's all about a single currency. It's real-time, and it's often free for the user. That's what drives that massive adoption. But cross-border, that's a whole different beast. You've got multiple currencies, tricky regulations, and higher costs. So the user adoption here is still just moderate, really focused in on niches like remittances and payments for freelance work. Okay, so now that we know the two different playing fields, we can really start to analyze the competition. Who's actually out there fighting for market share, and what are their strategies to win?
Domestically, the main fight is between these closed-off super apps and the wide-open standard of Viet QR. See, now that basically any app can use the universal QR code for payments, e-wallets can't just win on payments anymore. It's forced them to evolve. They have to add more services to keep you in their ecosystem, or they seriously risk becoming irrelevant.
So let's look at how these players are positioning themselves. In the domestic fight, you've got super apps like Momo and ZaloPay trying to build a moat around their users by adding things like insurance and investment options. Meanwhile, VNPay is playing a totally different game, focusing on the back-end infrastructure for businesses. Now switch over to the cross-border arena, and the strategies get even more varied. You've got remittance aggregators like FinFan connecting the big global money transfer operators to local wallets. You've got global B2B giants like AirWallex buying their way into the market. And then you have these super niche players like DealMe who are just solving one very specific problem, like cross-border installment payments. It's fascinating.
So, all of this brings us to the big finish, pulling it all together to see where the real opportunity is. And here's the bottom line. While the domestic market is incredibly competitive, it's the cross-border space where the next great frontier of innovation and value is going to be found.
So let's just boil this all down. Here are the 7 key takeaways. 1. The market is absolutely exploding. 2. QR codes are king. 3. The government is an enabler, not a blocker. 4. Competition is heating up. 5. Regional links are getting stronger. 6. Remittances are going digital, fast. And finally, number 7, and this is the big one, the single biggest challenge, which means it's also the single biggest opportunity, is interoperability. Seriously, the company that figures out how to connect all these different systems, well, they're the ones who will solve the billion-dollar problem.
So look, all the pieces of the puzzle are right there on the table. You've got massive demand, you've got regulatory support, and you have this vibrant competitive landscape. So the question that remains for all the founders and investors out there is actually a pretty simple one, but it's also profound. Who is going to step up and build that seamless, efficient payment bridge that finally and fully connects Vietnam's thriving digital economy to the rest of the world?